I gotta stop it, guys. It won't stop. There we go. Something's going on with our intro, so tonight we're just gonna skip that and go right into our live stream.
Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to UFO Man, Tim.
Yeah, we're having an issue tonight. I don't know what the issue is.
Well, anyway, folks, welcome to UFO. Like Thomas was saying, welcome to UFO Man. We appreciate everybody for coming. We got a great show for you tonight. We've got several very interesting sections.
Tommy, let's just stop and come back. I got to come back in. Okay?
Okay.
Well, it happens. We're all human, and streaming platforms are only as good as they can be sometimes. Let's see who's out in the audience today. I need to fucking find that window somewhere.
Renee, honey, how you doing? Nice to see you. Luke, great to see you as always.
Yeah, great to see everyone. I'm sorry. Hold on.
Something's not playing right tonight, folks. Sounds a little, but we'll get through it and we'll be on. We'll get things rolling in a bit. The show must go on.
Tim may need to do a reboot.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry about the panting, folks. I'm really hungry.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, by that sound we hear in the background, you can say here that little buddy is up and around from his nap.
Everybody, please. I'm going to do a reboot.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, folks, Tim is going to do a reboot. Thomas and I are still here. Tonight, we've got a great show planned for you. We've got all kinds of good subjects and everything else. We're going to go ahead and give it some time and let a few more people come in while Tim's doing the reboot. And so if anything you'd like to chat about, folks, just go ahead and hit that link and start chatting, and we'll be happy to engage. Hello, Debbie Sims. Very nice to see you. Thank you.
It's been a busy week, and there's been a lot of things going on in ufology, and it seems that disclosure is picking up, and not just in the United States, but all around the world, right. Which is something that we've all wanted to hear. Because we know we just don't have viewers in the United States. We have ones in the United States, Canada, Africa, all around the world.
All over the world, absolutely. We've got people from Belgium. We've got people in Asia, you name it. And we're grateful for all those folks. And one of the things that Tim and I talked about, Tim Thomas and I talked about, the 3 T's, is that anytime that you have UFO footage, anytime that you see some good UFO footage out there on the net or whatever, do us a huge favor. Go ahead and hit up the channel, hit up Tim, and send us those links over. We'd like to take a look at those. And if it's your own footage, by all means, hit us up. We'll arrange an exchange where we can actually upload it to our system. We can take a look at it for you, those kinds of things. Because there's more and more footage available all the time. And that's largely due to the fact that everybody's got a pretty decent camera in their pocket these days. I mean, it's no 35 millimeter, but the fact of the matter is most cameras are pretty decent. Now, one other thing I want to say now, when it comes to your camera, whatever camera that you're rocking in your pocket, whichever model it is, I promise you there's no less than probably 50 different videos on the internet that will teach you exactly how to use that phone, how to set it up, how to throw it up real quickly, and all that stuff. So that may be something that you want to consider as, amateur ufologists yourselves, folks, and that's what we consider all of our audience to be. Yeah. Might be something to look into.
Yeah,
always need to be ready.
Always be ready, and it never hurts to practice. Get used to pulling out your phone, throwing up your camera app, going to the sky and trying to get a quick video. You can practice it with planes. You can practice it with anything. So it's just a matter of not only having the intent, but having the practice and the skills. So when you're ready to do it, I mean, I've seen some excellent videos. They're even done on an old iPhone 7 to where they quickly picked up their phone and zoomed into Air Force One that was flying like at 1,500 feet in their particular area. And they were able to get the video, get it to zoom in, bring in really close and show a really clear image that would rival most of the video footage that we see for UFO videos. So it really just comes down to practice makes perfect.
Be ready. Be ready. Absolutely.
All right. See what's going on in the chat room here.
Thank you, Debbie. We appreciate that. It's just temporary setback. It just shouldn't be more than a few minutes. This never happens. But to be honest with you, there's all kinds of strange things going on the internet right now.
Yeah.
That I think there's a new big virus out there. I mean, major corporations are being hit, things like that.
Wow.
Who knows if that's what the problem is here? But I'm just saying this is happening as we speak right now.
Yeah. Looks like Luke has an idea going back to the camera. He's saying, most importantly, try to do it in landscape mode, because if you have something that's moving quickly, it's going to be able to be kept within your field of view a lot quicker.
Right. And it's a lot easier to interpret once we actually get a copy of that from you. Absolutely. Great point, Luke.
Yeah.
Hey, Scratch. How you doing, wild man?
Let's see
welcome aboard as always, buddy.
Let me jump out to this person here and go to Twitter, see what's going on in the old UFO community. I have to say, folks, that using Twitter as a source for ufology is probably one of the best resources you could probably reach out to if you want to be able to connect with people who are involved in it and be able to hear the words directly from them and be able to interact with them. It's just, if you haven't been there before, don't be afraid of it. Just go out and search for hashtag UFO Twitter or hashtag UFO, and you'll just get overwhelmed with the amount of information that comes on there every day. And as you're going through your feeds, go ahead, and if you see someone like Thomas L. Fessler, that's me, or other people like or even like if Tommy, you're not on Twitter, are you?
Not anymore. They kicked me
off. Okay, but they still show your account, I think.
Really, they won't. Well, they want me to apologize before I can tweet again, and I just can't bring myself to do it.
Yeah. So anyway, you find people that you like, you just click on follow them, and then if you go look at their Twitter feed and they have a whole bunch of good stuff, and you're seeing information coming from other people, it's a quick way for anyone to go out there and start, having that kind of access to that kind of information is just part of your daily news feed. And it really opens your eyes to the advances and the things that are going on within ufology at this point.
I mean, they're talking about actually having materials now, and they're sort of openly talking about having materials that cannot be produced on this planet. Now, I mean, and we've got private industry out there that's supposedly working on this. I've done some research into this, and so far everything I found is pretty much everybody saying, yeah, this is real. So if we have materials that we cannot manufacture with our current manufacturing process, where in the hell did they come from?
Right. I mean, some of them have evidence of being put together in zero G, so they're nothing that are like anything that you're going to find on this planet. Or you have materials that are made up of isotopes, not elements, because I think there's like 230 isotopes versus like the 100 and some odd, or is it 97 elements that we have that we know of on this planet. And so when we start seeing different materials that are put together in different ways, I mean, and some of them, they have layers of material that are thinner than a nanometer. And that's like the kind of one of the smallest things that we get down to when we're dealing with, electron microscopes.
It's like it's almost been 3D printed. And the problem is these materials were found long before we even thought of what a 3D printer would even, be like, or any concept of that. And that's exactly what we're seeing here. Now, there are certain people out there, certain other channels that have a gentleman by the name of Clifford Stone. Those of you in ufology probably know who I'm talking about. He's a former military person, claimed to be on like basically a crash recovery team for a number of years, things of that nature. Anyway, he came out on another very large UFO channel. This must have been about a year ago. Claimed that after everything, all the wild claims that he's made over the years, that now he says he has a piece of debris in this particular channel is it's supposedly, they're examining it or whatever, but I haven't heard anything else about it, folks. And I've been begging for Tim to do a show where we actually talk about the people in ufology that we believe their story versus the people that we don't, that we think are frauds. Frankly, I think Clifford Stone is a fraud all day. I don't believe the man as far as, I can see him across the street. And now that he says he's got evidence, after all these years he's been in the ufology community, now he comes out and says, oh, I've got a piece of debris. Put up or shut up.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Yeah, exactly. Either you're going to talk the talk, and if you are, then you have to walk the walk. So If you've got something, bring it out. Let's move it forward. Even Linda Moulton Hall did that recently with the materials that she had gotten supposedly from the Roswell crash. And that's where some of this information is coming from. It hasn't been quite declassified from the government yet, but eventually, hopefully, we'll start seeing something. I mean, we're getting closer to June every day. Is it June 25th? Every day as we go along. And there's more and more hints about that massive information that's going to be coming from all over the place, because everything that came out from the CIA, that's just a small, tiny little drop in a massive ocean of information that should come to us.
Well, if you get a stack of documents that's literally 3 feet high, yet 95% of that document's been blacked out or omitted or otherwise, blotted or whatever out, and you end up with just a few words, not even enough to make a good paragraph. They call that disclosure. That's not disclosure. That's not what we're talking about. But I promise that's what we're going to see again, because that's what they always do. They give you a little trickle of information, and then that's it. And I do believe that they've let this rumor fly about the materials here that just came up recently, because it's true. And I think that they're trying to kind of test the waters, if you will. Soft disclosure, I guess they call it.
Absolutely. And one little more thing on that before we get back to you, Tim, just to close this whole thing out temporarily. I've got more information that I've been amassing and bringing together on Battelle, and they're one of the major, if you want to call it, organizations, the deep state, who's been involved with the federal government and the Pentagon and the Army for the research and the re-engineering of UFO crash materials. So if anyone's out there knows anything about Battelle, please reach out to me. If not, I've got a whole bunch of additional stuff we'll be bringing to it, because, we're starting to find out more. Some of it's going from, old documents, but at least those old documents are going to be pointing us to where we should be getting information from today.
Right.
Tim?
I want to apologize to everybody. I had some computer errors going on, but I seem to have corrected them finally. So, okay. On the show. Sorry about that. It had to happen on the show, whatever can and will go wrong usually does. So here we are.
Just for the record, what operating system are you running?
Oh, yeah, I know. Windows. Yeah, of course. Anyways, this is the deal. Tonight we're going to be talking about several subjects besides what Tommy and Thomas just improvised, which was very good. Thank you very much. We're going to be talking about ancient aliens, the proof that we found in carvings and cave paintings. We're also going to be talking about the 2 quarterback sightings, Aaron Rodgers and the Baker, and the Baker guy quarterback and his wife, who just saw a UFO recently. And we're also going to be talking about the Japanese government issuing an order to all its commercial and military pilots to release information. And we're going to be talking about a Canadian UFO dump. So we're really busy tonight, so let's get started. We're also going to start with a UFO video review. So here we go. See if I can get this up and running. Yeah, hopefully this won't overlap. Oops. I gotta start it over. Hold on a minute. Sorry, guys. Share screen. Share. Okay, here we go. This is a multi-lit UFO spotted over Paderborn, Germany.
Well, look at him.
Yeah. They're locked in position. They're not moving at all. There's no other lights flashing, red ones or green ones or anything like that that would be required for a drone.
Are we looking at a solid object? One piece.
It looks like.
See, I don't know. I almost thought it was drones to begin with. But there's no real starting point. So how do we know? There it is right there, okay?
Yeah. I mean,
it's a hard one to discern.
And a blimp flying at night would have more lights than just that. If that was the bottom of the area where the pilots would be, there would be other red lights on the other end of the thing. And it's just, there's no other planes or stuff in the area, and it's quiet.
Aviation in anywhere all over the world is required to have both a red and a green light, and depending on whether the plane is coming or going, it tells you which configuration the lights are in, and it doesn't have that.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Let's see. RENE CRUZ is calling it a wow, awesome, ginormous extraterrestrial alien UFO. Yeah, it kind of looks like it could be that, RENE.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we have a formation of lights over Jacksonville, Florida on February 27th, 2021. It was reported to MUFON and is still being researched.
I agree, Scratch. I don't think it's CGI either.
Yeah.
Tell me that doesn't look like the Big Dipper.
Missing a star, yeah. Could be a giant T for Tommy.
Paid a lot of money for those guys.
Oh, yeah.
Or Y for why?
Yeah,
Hello,
they're changing orientation.
Hello,
Go ahead, Tommy.
I'm sorry. Hello, Kelly Lewis. Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
We're not looking at flares. It's not moving like flares. That could be drones, but if it were drones, that's pretty far away. They have to have some pretty serious lights on it.
Yeah.
That can't happen, but
yeah, it's pretty big. It's over a city. They're giving us a light show. They're doing an observation of whatever the hell's going on in the city.
I don't know what they're looking at, but
trying to be seen is my guess.
Yeah.
I mean, it's freaking obvious. They're not trying to hide anything. It's like, hello, look over here. The lights are all on. Look up, take a look, and see what's going on here, folks.
But what I want to say this, Thomas, they do actually move, because this bottom light was over farther to make it look like the Dipper. Now it's spreading out.
Yeah.
So
they're changing shape, changing orientation to each other.
And they do move toward the left.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that is, but
that's not flares. No, there's no way that's flares.
That was over Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Okay, the next one is 5 UFOs seen over Cook's Inlet, Alaska, reflecting off the water. Mother and daughter witness it, and they said there's absolutely no oil platforms in the area where they were looking. Okay, so here we go. Now there's 4 there. One will appear in a second. Right there.
Yep.
They said they're just floating there above the water, about 25 feet above the water.
They're clearly making a reflection on the water. I mean, you see it right there. I wonder, again, it's one of those things at night. I want to see what's behind it during the daytime. But if you take those people at their word, pretty remarkable.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can see that there are 5. 1, 2, 3. There's one in front of the other there, and then 2 more.
Yeah. And that one could either be a duplication effect of 2, or it could be 2. I mean, a duplication. Right. Yeah. But that, you know, the colors and what we're seeing reminds me of another shot we had over the Gulf of Mexico, where it was taken from a oil platform. Remember that one, Tim?
Yeah. But they said there's no oil platforms in this area. Yeah. Plus, these were like overland before it traveled over the water. And that they had seen these lights on several occasions, and that this was the first time they hovered over the water, and they were only about 20 to 25 feet up above the water. So if it was an oil platform, these lights would be a lot higher.
No, yeah. Well, yeah, it doesn't look like an oil platform. I was just referencing that it was on the video when we saw from the workers on an oil platform.
Right. It does look like it, yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of those, again, I'm going to have to see I'd like to see that area in the daytime before I make up my mind on this one.
Right.
So if there's nothing behind it, Tommy, what would you call it?
If there's nothing behind it and we're seeing reflection on the water like that, then we've got a bona fide UFO situation, folks.
Yeah.
Right. With the way it stands, we have a bona fide UFO situation because we don't have the information of the daytime shot.
Right.
So that's where we're going to have to leave it for now until we find out more information. Okay, let's go to the next one. This is interesting because it's footage taken by a drone. What I want you to focus on is not necessarily the main UFO, but other UFOs that surround it. Here we go. He said he didn't see it with his own eyes. He found it the next day when he was scrubbing the footage.
Diamond shape, big time.
So how did he zoom in if he wasn't? Is that just part of the reel that he's zooming into at this point?
He was zooming in with the drone.
But he didn't see it till the next day.
Yeah.
Okay, now I want you to look at that red circle. There's another object going up into the clouds.
Yes, there is.
And then it comes back and goes to the left.
Huh.
Then there's one in front keeping pace with the diamond.
Yeah.
Now, how did he zoom in? I guess this must be in post-production where he's zooming into the feed that he had available.
Yeah, I think so too. See, there's the one in front.
Yeah. Welcome to the broadcast.
He says they're not pixelations. He says they're actual objects
Yeah.
following this diamond. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, is the diamond a UFO? I cannot state that. But the ones following it and circling around it, I would say yes, they are.
Yeah, so they're moving in like in a organized pattern. I guess you'd call that more like a sortie, Tommy, or yeah. Welcome to the show, Julie. Good to see you. Great that you're here, Tarek Reed.
Yeah, good to see you, Tarek Reed. I always enjoy your comments in the chat under videos. Thank you very much for your support. Okay, well, I just wanted to show it up close, like right there, because if I go any closer, it just gets black and you can't see it. But I don't know if that's a square, if that's a diamond. I have no clue. But anyways.
It doesn't have wings.
No.
No propellers, no jet engines, and it's just up there moving quietly.
Right. All right, on to the next one. This is a daylight sighting. It's a spiraling UFO spinning clockwise, captured over Tala, Mexico on 2/28/2021. Okay, here we go.
Oh, this one looks cool.
What are you?
Well, that back part is almost like it's rotating and flipping over, but you're seeing that going in different directions. That's got to be gravitational lensing we're watching.
Although it does look like it's spiraling.
Yeah.
Something's going on there.
Then it almost feels like it's rotating on its axis. That just looks like different effects, like in the video we saw from Puerto Rico. We didn't see the spiraling thing, but it's almost like the bottom side of the image is coming up and repeating itself.
It could be. It could also be just part of the propulsion.
Thank you, Ryan, and welcome to the show. We appreciate you coming.
Yeah, we do, Ryan. It's good to see you. And Kelly, good to see you too. And Julie, welcome. Scratch, good to see you too. So I'm going to cut that one off. That's pretty much what you see with this UFO.
Yeah.
Is right there. That's what it looks like right there.
How do you vote, Tommy? Yes or no?
That is very interesting. I'm going to call it a definite maybe for sure. I mean, it's one of those that it's so far away and it's so out of focus. It's really hard to say, but that's definitely not a commercial aircraft. There's no question.
Yeah.
Okay, this next one was pointed out to me by Thomas during the week. This is a UFO in trees that drops down to the ground, but before it drops down to the ground, it drops orbs out or some type of molten material and interacts with a motorist outside Curitiba, Brazil on 1/3/2021.
It almost has a spiritual feel to it, just the way it is in the trees and moving around and stuff. I think Julia liked it.
It's really cool.
So you can see the thing first.
It's back here.
Yeah, but watch how the streetlights are getting turned off by this thing as it gets close. That's one of the things that I noticed in the clip too.
Wait till it gets closer, Tommy. Everyone, you'll see that it dances among the tree branches. Watch.
Well, that's not a drone. You don't get a drone in tree limbs like that. Forget that.
No. And quickly circling around branches and going back into it. Now you see some stuff falling off of it too. Maybe it's going and heating up the parts of the tree. Luckily, it didn't set it on fire.
Yeah, you would think if it was fire, the tree would be burning.
Yeah.
It would be.
And what we've got going here is not one of those videos where someone records it for 5 seconds and turns it off. We're getting a good look at this thing.
Well, that's definitely independently moving big time.
Yeah.
Kelly, I would agree that it looks like fire, but when you watch how it moves, it's not like engulfing the tree, and it's certainly had time to do that, I would think. Well, I don't know what that is.
Yeah. There should be some motion coming out where it'll go across the street up ahead.
And there's no drone doing that. There's no way. No way.
Did you include that part of the clip, Tim? Where it goes out across the street?
I don't know if I did.
Yeah, this is where it will drop down and then it kind of goes across the street. And then when it goes across the street, you're going to see, no, you didn't get that. You're actually seeing it move, but as it's moving down the street lights are getting turned off as it's getting closer to it, like what you see in any typical UFO.
Okay, here's another typical sighting. It's a major sighting occurred over Las Vegas near the Nellis Air Force Base.
Hey, Roysing Grange, welcome.
He's saying, why are they hanging above the city like that? And that there were 6 to begin with, and now there are only 4.
And there's no smoke. There's nothing apparent that it could be a flare. They're not really moving down. They're kind of hanging out just there. And then doesn't it come back, the 5th one, in a bit?
No, this one just remains 4.
Okay.
We're looking at stationary objects. We're not looking at the typical plume of a flare.
Yeah.
They're not descending on the Earth at different rates or anything like that.
Yeah. Vladius Maximus is kind of right. You know, hello, Phoenix Light. Anyone?
Mhm.
You know?
Yeah, it almost looks like the Phoenix Lights, although the Phoenix Lights kind of had a curve to it.
Yeah. They knew they should have taken that left turn at Albuquerque.
Yep.
See how they stay there? They all look kind of like disc shaped to me a little bit. There's like a line separating in the middle. Now here's a close up, but the camera doesn't do it justice, so we can't really tell, but those are the 4 lights that remained. Okay, on to the next one. Disc-like UFO freaks out Girls Academy over Trey Pontus, Brazil. I was going to include the audio of them screaming, but I did not. So here we go.
Welcome, Cornelius Daughtery. Welcome from Scotland. Wow, it's kind of late there. Or early.
Hey, Cornelius. Good to see you. Hi, Royston Grange. Good to see you, too.
Hey, Snoopy SN100. Good to see you again.
Here's an example of a guy that's got his camera all the way out, zoomed all the way out to the max, and knows nothing about controlled breathing.
No. Now, it almost...
It's actually a young girl that filmed this.
Whoever, yeah.
And they were freaking out when they filmed it. So now I slowed it way down so that maybe we could get a little more control on the object so you could take a look at it better.
What? Royston Grange is here from London. Well, welcome as well.
It's just hanging there. It's not doing anything.
No, it's not.
No propulsion at all.
That propulsion, if anything, would be like the little, you know, light-colored stuff on the bottom, potentially. If
you look at the white stuff on the bottom really close, when you slow down this video and watch it, you can see the white moving. On occasion, those lights do move.
Yeah.
Can you pause it right there?
Looks like 2 lights to me.
Yeah, hold on. Let me get it back to where it was. Oops. It's coming up on a large.
Yeah.
See the lights right there? There are 3 of them. 1, 2, 3. Now, if there are 3, this could be one of those German saucers, you know, the Hanabu.
But later we see it when it's at a different angle where it's almost the ship is turned a bit and we're just seeing those like from the back of it. So, you know.
See, they just moved.
Oh, you know what it looks like? It looks like Gamera, the flying turtle, or Gamera.
Yeah, but it's not Gamera.
Oh, I know that, but he was an unidentified flying turtle.
He was my favorite monster.
Same here. I think it was Tim's too, wasn't it?
Yeah, I liked him too. This is a close-up of that object.
Yeah.
You can see the white underneath is split, and it almost looks like your typical disc because you've got the angled sides and then you got a dome on top. So if this isn't a German make or a reverse engineered flying disc that we made, then who knows what this is?
It really does look like a turtle shell, and we do have that center part in there where the 2 legs would be hidden up inside. I mean, it could be a Japanese version, and it could be, you know, Gamera. You know, Thomas, it's a UFO or something, but
yes, it's a UFO or something, but okay.
Yeah, it's not a flying turtle. It just kind of has a look of a turtle shell and brings back great memories.
Oh yeah, it does.
That is definitely a solid object. It's sitting there. It's not moving. And to me, it looks like it's got lights. I mean, that's just the bottom line.
Yeah, same here. Okay, this is interesting because it's a clip showing a UFO over the Middle East. Don't know the exact city. It's during a celebration, and you can hear fireworks and gunshots going off. But there is a UFO in the sky that has searchlights.
Nice.
So check this out.
We also have Lazy Kanga here from Sydney, Australia. So we are definitely getting people from all over the world tuning in tonight, Tim.
You betcha.
Hey, Lazy Kanga, nice to see you.
We appreciate when our what do you call it, our audience, you know, chimes in chat and, you know, lets us know that where they're from.
Yeah, give us the shout out, the location shout out. That's awesome. We really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Whoa.
I'll zoom in. You just wait. It looks better from far away, but
Whoa.
Yeah, it kind of looks like what I'd say is almost one ship, and we're.
just watch.
Uh-oh. I just lost video and audio. There we go.
You can hear the fireworks going off and the shooting in the background.
This.
Oh, I guess you can't hear that. Sorry. Anyways.
It's interesting. I give it that. I mean, I've never seen one shoot a beam of light across the sky like that. That's unique.
Yeah, I think it does a better beam of light here any second. There's that beam.
Mm-hmm. That looks interesting.
There.
Dang it, I did lose on my audio. Son of a gun.
Your audio's fine, Thomas.
I know. I'm trying to fix it right now, Tim. My audio is gone.
Sound fine.
Well, it's my turn to leave and come back in because StreamYard kicked out my audio when my screen reset.
I had problems earlier with my camera. It was just weird.
Okay, well, we'll see Thomas back in a little bit. We'll wing it. Okay, hold on a second here. What the heck? Nope. Okay, next one. UFO caught on CCTV in Winters, California. Here we go. It'll get bigger. There it is.
Hmm.
Just watch.
You suppose that could, well, it looks like there's three independent lights on that, but that could be the way the camera's framing it too. Do you suppose that could just be like a meteor or something like that and the camera just doesn't know how to handle it?
I don't know. It might be. I don't know. But don't meteors go with the curvature of the Earth? This is going up. I don't know. It could be. But this is what it looks like with those three independent lights.
Mm-hmm.
Here it goes again. Then it comes, it looks like it disappears, and then it comes back right here. So what that is, I don't know. What would you say, Tommy?
I am going to go with meteor going across the sky. The camera just doesn't have enough resolution or a good enough CCD processor to be able to figure it out. I think that's what that is, but I could be absolutely wrong about that.
Okay, here's a strange light or a UFO seen over Yakima, Washington on 3/4/2021. Okay, here we go.
Finally.
Welcome back.
Yeah.
HHG Reviews wants you to look at the chat there, Tim.
Yeah, that's me. Oh, it's one of me.
HHG, I am looking at the chat. Sorry about that.
Tim,
At the private
that's me.
chat. Oh, okay, Thomas. Gotcha.
Well, it's a triangle.
Well, this thing starts out like something more than a triangle, and then it starts disappearing. So I don't know what that is. Watch, this will disappear now. Bink, it's down to 1.
Oh,
that's what it looks like when it's fully lit. I don't know what it is. Like you said, the camera isn't good enough to really show us any structure. But this is what they got. Now I'll go back. At the beginning, there it is, fully lit. See it?
Yeah.
I don't know what these things are on the side. And these two lights are really bright, so.
Are we looking at one large object here?
Well, that's what I'm thinking, yeah. And I don't think it's a triangle. I think it only looks like a triangle when this side goes out.
But you're seeing it. It's almost like a complete curve kind of going on there with something in the front. So there's something a lot bigger that we can't see.
I think so too.
Pause it there for a second, Tim, when you can see the whole thing. Now, if you look at on the bottom, that left thing on the left, the gray thing, it almost kind of looks like a torpedo, kind of, right? You know, you look on the right side. Yeah, you look on the right side, it's a mirror on that side. So whatever it is, we are definitely seeing it from a good angle on, and there's something.
Yeah, I don't know, but I don't think this is gravitational lensing on the right. And the reason is because you can see the light go off.
Oh, yeah.
At the end.
Yeah, I was just seeing the duplication of the pattern, which basically, you know, sometimes ships and different things that we see are going to have some symmetry to them. Give me an idea of the left side and the right side of it. Almost like pontoons.
I think we're looking at a solid object. I think we're looking at one massive craft of some kind or another.
Yeah, and it could be slowly poking itself.
Bye, Lazy Kanga. Thanks for coming.
Yep, appreciate you being here.
Okay, there's one that I missed that I want to do. That's not it. Okay, well, that's all right. Nope. Okay. Nope. Nope. Okay. Let me go here. Well-laid plans don't always seem to work out here on UFO Man, but we're working out the glitches. The next segment is going to be presented by Thomas FESSLER, the man with the UFO Man crew logo. He's going to be talking about an interesting subject that hasn't been approached on YouTube or presented on YouTube yet, except by the founder himself. So take it away, Thomas.
All right, give me 1 second here. I just need to finish getting everything ready. I appreciate everyone's time tonight and coming here. I just need to go ahead and get one of my windows set up where it has all the different things. I'll be going ahead and showing it in just 1 second. Sorry about this. Just a little prep before I jump into it. Okay, so let me get this down to perfectly right here. All right, so the first thing we're going to be talking about tonight is about the an organization in Canada called TESA, and you can find them at www.tesaca.org. And how I learned about TESA, let me go ahead and bring this up and show it to everyone. I I have an active account on Twitter. I'm kind of involved in a lot of different conversations, from ancient aliens to, you know, UFOs to a whole bunch of cool stuff. And one of the things that happened is I was reached out to by a person by the name of Ryan TESA, and to one of my sorry,
Ryan Stacy.
Yes, Ryan Stacy. Sorry, he has TESA. Ryan Stacy basically replied back to one of my tweets while I was out looking for some stuff on some information about the Battelle involvement with the Army with the Roswell crash. Ryan had gone and tweeted back to me saying, "Hey, I have some neat stuff from cases in Canada. If interested, PM. I have a project I'm working on." I heard that. I was really interested in what was going on. So I jumped over to his Twitter page to find out. He's called, Ryan Stacy, UFO and paranormal researcher, and says Ryan Stacy is a private investigator, author, citizen journalist, and an active Canadian researcher in paranormal and ufology. Now, even more interesting. So my interest is really peaked at this point. Going down through his particular tweets, a couple days earlier, on February 17th, Ryan had tweeted, "So the Canadian Space Agency was nice enough to release 200 plus pages of UFO docs to me today. Just saying." Whoa. Did he just say 200 pages of UFO docs that's been declassified and released by the Canadian Space Agency? He did.
So we now have a Canadian UFO dump being brought up for the first time on YouTube on UFO Man. Take it away.
And besides Ryan's tweets, it hasn't been covered much on Twitter for that matter as well. So yeah, my interest is really peaked. So I jumped over to Ryan's website, and which is TESA.org. And his organization is called TESA, and he has something called the Experiencer Support Association. And this, I've got a short video that I'm going to go ahead and play here before I jump into some of the UFO accountings from firsthand observers for the reports that we've gained through the disclosure. And let's go ahead and play the video so you can get an idea of who Ryan is and what he's about. Make sure you let me know if you can hear this.
Make sure you check the box. Yes.
My mission is to assist and help those experiencing this phenomenon in such a way that they're able to continue and live with it, and also in a way that it can be measured, quantified, and reinforced within today's society, so that way it can be accepted and no longer viewed in a negative way. One thing that I do value in people is the ability to sense and feel when something is right and when something is wrong. That is a natural ability that we all share. Now, when we combine that with the paranormal and ufological abductions or visits, I have the sensation that these abilities are connected. Not everyone can sense, not everyone can feel. However, those who can are typically connected with something that we cannot explain. And part of my research, it's not just to investigate the experience, but it's also to understand and study the experiencer to find out what they have in common with other experiencers, to try to figure out what the actual makeup is in order to be on that spectrum. There's a lot of it happening all over the world, and I do not know of any other study that is focusing on the individuals as people, only the phenomenon.
Okay, Thomas. You're muted.
Not anymore. I'm not. Thank you, Tim.
Okay.
I appreciate that. All right. So coming at this is, what I found and what I watched going to that, the next thing, let me get this here, is I have a bunch of different firsthand accountings of UFOs that are available for anyone to go ahead and see currently at TESA.org. Let me go ahead and take this back full screen again, so we've got the full view of everything that's kind of going on. So the first article that I've got going on here for is case number from the Canadian government, HSPD 2019-0014. Is a sensory display and aerial activity. The witness statement is from March 2nd, 2019. Let me get into it. I'll open my curtains, and when the night is clear, I'll sometimes look at the moon or the sky from bed. One time I saw the same object I saw the night before, but now in a different place, so I went to get my camera. I was amazed how many different colors I was seeing and the shapes continually changing. Many significant, my significant other saw me and asked what I was doing. He also saw the object. So here we've got a picture clearly of, looks like, you know, potentially orbs, and orbs going and moving around. And, you know, I'm going to say this, just in this one release alone where we have pictures like this, this blows away the quality of anything we've gotten from the federal government so far, except for the little videos that we've seen way too many times. What do you think?
Yeah, and from the CIA dump too. We don't have very clear pictures, and almost everything's redacted. So
exactly.
Yeah, this is better.
So let's get on to the next one. What we've got going on here is some people who didn't have particular cameras available when they're doing it, but we've got a really good accounting of what's going on. We've got another one that's a sensory display of aerial activity. It took place on July 30th. Actually, no, that's the date is July 30th, 2019. The witness statement is July 14th, 2019. I was laying in bed and observing stars and other objects, just beginning to close my eyes when I heard the ringing sound in my ear. I opened my eyes, and shortly afterward, I observed a light orb come into view. It stopped suddenly for 30 seconds and then continued on its way, emitting a white light that I could not hear any sound. So we've got a detailed drawing showing kind of where, looking through the windows, where he saw it came into view, where it stopped, and where it continued. And written in the original person's notes are, stopped suddenly about 30 seconds. I felt spotted. It continued out of view, was close to the house, no sound, solid white and bright. What do you think, Tommy?
Well, very interesting indeed. You know, it's hard to dispute things like this. One's this well organized, and, you know, to take it all down and everything, you have to give that more credibility, I think, than, you know, just some willy-nilly person off the street, so to speak. Not that we don't give everybody, you know, a certain amount of credibility, but I'm just saying that some more than others.
It also sounds a lot. What do you want to call it? There's a lot more attention being paid to when people are going and reporting things, and we're actually getting some decent accountings of things. Here's another one. We've got a sensory display and aerial activity from Oakwood, Ontario, Canada, October 22nd, 2011. So this is going a number of years back. Driving my delivery truck to Lindsay on Trans-Canada Highway 7 between Manila and Lindsay, aircraft was descending in my direction. I pulled over on the soft shoulder to observe the aircraft, to believe it was a 747 freight plane. I sometimes observe aircraft during my deliveries and watch them. This was clear moonlight night with very few clouds. I was intrigued by the descending aircraft so far away from Pearson International Airport. And here he's got a picture of the particular object. If I can, it's not letting me make it bigger, where we can see where it's saying there's white lights on 3 different spots. It's really wide with a small bump in the center. So based on that profile, there's nothing for engines. There's nothing anything. And it's just almost like directly seeing a disc from head on, potentially. So either way, the aircraft was showing no marker, flashing strobes on the wings. As the aircraft became more visible, I began to notice its outline. It was still descending slowly at a shallow angle. The wingspan was very wide, with a slight pronounced middle bump. I assume to be the cockpit area. So here we go, a more of an underbelly view of it. And we're looking at something that's almost diamond shape.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of diamond-shaped UFO sightings lately.
Yeah. So here we go. At approximately 1,000 feet, the aircraft began to level out and change its direction slightly. The landing lights dimmed, and at approximately 12 miles per hour, the aircraft flew past me to the left of the truck at approximately 500 feet. The aircraft was a perfect diamond shape, black with dull white light in each corner of the diamond. Along the center line, but just behind the middle of the aircraft, a red revolving light turned slowly. So this sounds like it could be some kind of a, maybe not a UFO, but some kind of
like TR-3B or TR-6 hybrid.
Military technology of some sort.
Yeah. And
some
here's a
type
better
of
view of
military.
it from the bottom.
Especially because of that red revolving light, the corners and the lights on each corner, and that bump in the center.
But look at the profile of how big this thing was. It's the size of a jumbo jet, and it's the perfect shape of a diamond.
Yeah,
well, I've heard rumors. I don't know. Of course, nobody knows if this is true or not, but I have heard rumors that people are talking to high-level military higher ups, the brass or whatnot, and they're saying basically if it's a triangle shaped, it's ours. If it's any other shape, it's somebody else's.
Yeah,
I've heard that.
Yeah, well, it's coming up in Canada, and it definitely doesn't look like any plane that I've ever seen prototypes of or anything. So we're either looking at some kind of, black budget project or something that's just really classified, if it is one of ours. All right, our next one we've got going here is a witness statement from July 24th, 2019. I was watching this purplish object moving around when a star-like object smaller than the one I was observing appeared in the sky around this object. One appeared top right, then another top left, then another third bottom, center between the two above. I got the impression that the object I was originally observing was trapped somehow. So he kind of saw something where there was an original object, and then there are more things that kind of appeared around it. The object,
like drones,
the object would thrust harder and faster and appear to bounce back in various directions. After 5 minutes, the trapped object flashed and then shot out a comet that had a tail. That's definitely not a drone. 3 orb stars were still there. So it sounds like it was moving between the other objects, got to a certain point, and then just shot off. That one's just really short. Again, this is the night the radio went off at 12 a.m. Again, at 12:30 a.m., basically, going and giving the accounting of when the stuff happened. So another cool thing now, TESA's got a bunch of different, sightings and witness accounts up on their site right now. And it's something, if you guys are interested in, please go ahead and check it out. We're going to be following up in an additional broadcast. We're going to be bringing Ryan on and talking to him about TESA, the information he got from the Canadian Space Agency, and what are the latest things that he's learned and he can tell us about.
Scratch said like the black diamond earlier in reference to one that looked like a diamond.
Yeah. Oh, and I'm sorry if I haven't checked the chat. I should be doing that while I'm doing that. It got covered up by one of the windows and I haven't been seeing it. So I apologize for that. All right.
I want to say one thing to you, Thomas. In regards to the files, are all the documents that you have handwritten accounts, or do you have official documents as well?
There's a combination of both on the site. The ones that I focused on today was the witness accounting.
Okay. After the live stream is over this evening, we will post the link to TESA in the underneath the video itself, and we'll also post what links we can in direct relationship to other sightings that are both written documents from the government and handwritten accounts.
Yeah. And our next piece that we're going to be going on talking about is the Japanese government orders military pilots to report UFO sightings. So up until this date, the Japanese military has had a practice of don't ask, don't tell. We're not going to ask you about it. We don't want you to tell us anything about it. So let's talk about this for a bit. Despite the defense ministry claiming there have been no official reports of military personnel encountering unidentified UFOs, or flying objects, UFOs, watchers insist that Japan is a hotbed of extraterrestrial activity, partly because we have 4 plates that come together in where Japan is, and there's a lot of volcanoes, and UFOs are generally seen and observed a lot of times near volcanoes. Now, the story goes on to talk
There's
about...
a picture right there from the Japanese military right there from General Nakata.
Yes. So the Japan's self-defense forces, the SDF, have been issued with new protocols for what they should do when encountering UFOs that could potentially pose a threat to national security. Now, we've heard this national security thing being thrown around by the United States government, and they're dealing with UFOs. So something sounds familiar here. Former Defense Minister Taro Kono told a press conference earlier in September that members of the military need to make a visual recording of any unexplained phenomena they encounter, and that footage must be analyzed to the fullest extent. The military has also been tasked with looking into reports of UFO sightings from the public. Sounds like they're starting up something along the lines of Project Blue Book here. The announcement was one of Kono's last acts as defense minister before Japan's government reshuffled ministerial positions in mid-September of 2020. The U.S. government is understood to be in collaboration with Japan on UFOs. Interesting to hear, particularly after the Pentagon released 3 video clips in April captured by U.S. pilots that apparently show unidentified aerial phenomena. One comment on this is that the U.S. Secretary of State has been reaching out to foreign governments since the 1940s and 1950s for a collaboration and understanding for information about UFOs. So while this is kind of saying this is new of the U.S. government working with Japan, I have a feeling that this agreement has been going on for at least the last 40 to 60 years.
Right after the Second World War.
Yeah.
I mean, we know how many World War II pilots experienced the Foo Fighter thing and all that. Their pilots had to be doing the same thing.
Right.
I mean, why wouldn't they?
Right. Absolutely. Now, there was previously no protocols in place. One military pilot witness confirmed, so there was no way of officially reporting these sorts of incidents. And the reports were filed, and the authorities that have the data, but they didn't previously know what to do with it. Now we hope that's going to make a change. So it sounds like they have been making some reports of things in this past, but it hasn't been going anywhere. But at least at this point going forward, they've got a plan to move forward on this subject. Now, Tommy, what you were going to say something?
No, actually, we're good. I just thought that, like I say, that it's very ironic that, and like you said, to your point, that we've probably been collaborating with the Japanese for decades at this point, because like I was saying, I mean, I'm sure that all the Foo Fighters that our pilots and German pilots reported, I'm sure that they were encountering the same kind of phenomenon in the Pacific. I mean, why wouldn't they be?
Right.
I think it's very interesting that Japan is becoming more open, because typically militarily, they've always been more of a closed society, like, let's say. So I think it's very
Reclusive.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's very interesting that they're even talking about this, much less giving their pilots the go ahead and report these things. I mean, that's a big thing, folks. It really is.
Right,
Absolutely.
and it's happening all over the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Just to bring this, so that's kind of where we're at for now on talking about everything going in Japan. Now, if we switch over our focus over to Mars, is just as a quick follow-up of what's going on with the Perseverance rover. There's some images that have been coming along, and there's been a lot of people on Twitter and on the internet going and digging into these images and trying to figure out what exactly is that we're looking at. Now, this is one example of an image I got off of the NASA site tonight. It was a very large panoramic image where basically it's stretched, I'd say, for 10 of my computer screens across, giving us a high level of detail, taking and stitching multiple images together. Now, as we were going and I was looking at this image, there was one little black shape out on the horizon, well, kind of on the low horizon before the mountain range comes up. And I thought it was interesting. But then when I looked in detail, the anomaly appears in every image section of the panorama image. So as you continue to go ahead and scroll across the overall panorama, you're seeing that image repeat time and time and time again, thinking, okay, it looks like they've gotten something on the lens already. Hopefully they got something to go ahead and clean that off. Hopefully it's a bug.
Or it could have been a damaged pixel, right?
No, not that one. That just looks like there's too many things in this particular orientation for it to be it. I mean, it'd be great if they got a bug on the lens on Mars.
But,
we would have found life on Mars. There you go.
Yeah, but here's one thing. They just found out that the magnetic field on Mars is 10 times stronger than they thought it was. And the current images of what it looks like right now, honestly, it looks like Mars is going through a polar flip right now. Like the world is at this point, like the Earth is going on.
Okay.
And just based on the pattern of the magnetic field is where it is right now. So we're learning a lot about Mars, and the next thing we're going to take a look at is something that really deserves us to take a close look. Now, in this particular picture that they only provided to us in black and white, off on the horizon is this little black dot. Now, if this now there's a debate over what the heck this black dot is. Some people are saying it's a dead pixel. Some people are saying it's a UFO. Now, if this was a dead pixel, every single picture we'd be taking from Perseverance would have that shape in it. And guess what? It's not there.
It would also
be white. There, right.
It would also be white, not black, if it were a dead pixel.
Yeah, well, exactly. I believe I did see some little white dots actually in the upper right-hand corner. Let's see if I can get this in here of this picture. Off to the right side, there is one little white dot that looks like a typical dead pixel.
Yeah,
right there.
That's a dead pixel.
Right. I mean, you get it even closer, so everyone at home can
go
ahead
I see
and
it.
See that.
Yeah, there's a dead pixel. Yeah,
that's a dead pixel. What we're looking at over here, zoomed in again, I guess we're really close into it now. That's not a dead pixel.
It looks like a three-dimensional object to me.
That's sizable.
Yeah.
Almost.
Now, I originally thought, could it have been the helicopter deployed from the Perseverance rover? If not, because the helicopter kind of looks like that.
Does it have one?
Yes, it does. And if not, then I would say a UFO, a disc.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely a three-dimensional object that should not be there in that frame.
Almost looks like the wing configuration of what the Anunnaki have.
Well, let's talk about the probes Phobos 1 and Phobos 2 from the Russians back in the mid-70s.
Yeah.
I mean, they sent two probes to Phobos. They called them Phobos 1, Phobos 2, and they were on their way to Mars to actually inspect the moon. Mars is a very small moon. And all of a sudden, one of them went completely dead. Then the second one went completely dead, except they got a really good photo, if we can pull that up, of something that looks like it almost attacked the second probe. And neither one of them actually made it. But the irony is, back in the mid-70s, the Iron Curtain was so locked down, you got no news from them whatsoever.
Yeah.
And the fact that these scientists were actually allowed by the CCP government to actually come forward with that information, I think speaks volumes.
Yeah.
I gotta say something about the Mars UFO real quick. Bobby Broadway stated that maybe it's a panoramic stitching marker.
No, that isn't a panoramic image. That's just one image that was not put together.
Mm-hmm. Royston Grange, I agree with you. Definitely a 3D object, no question.
Yes, I agree too, Royston Grange. Although David Leclerc says could be the drone that is attached to the Perseverance rover, which is what I mentioned, the helicopter drone. But I haven't heard any NASA reports on them releasing it. That would have made the news.
If we actually flew a helicopter on a different planet, I promise that would be huge news.
Yeah.
Yes, they do have one.
So, Tommy, this is the actual object that came in and the Russian scientists saw basically come in from off frame to on frame. And it's casting a shadow and everything, I believe, on Mars is what they were saying. So this thing is a huge UFO that was there. And probably what happened if it came within a vicinity of the satellite would have been shut down, just like all of our current electronics shut down. Too close.
Actually, I'm not sure about this photo because Phobos 1 and Phobos 2 were actually attacked well before, well, whatever happened to them well before they entered Mars orbit.
That isn't Mars orbit. That's on Phobos. That's
okay,
on
I mean, even close to Mars is what I'm saying. They got nailed pretty quick.
Yeah.
You're talking. Wait a minute. You're talking about the photo that shows a white image that's pretty straight and really bright. That got attacked before it even reached Mars.
Right.
There was two of them. There were two of them though.
Yeah,
I think it was Phobos 1.
Phobos 1 and 2. Phobos 1 just went silent. Nobody knows why.
Yeah.
Phobos 2, I believe, is the one they have the photo of that thing like sticking it, basically.
This is it right there. This is the image from Phobos 2. The images from March 26, 1989. So this is the image that they basically saw come and basically appear in the view right before the signal went out.
At least 10 years too late for that. At least 10 years. We're talking the Phobos thing happened 74, I think it was. Somebody look that up. I'm pretty sure it's like 74, 75.
Well, Phobos 2 was in 70, Phobos 2. This picture was in March 26, 1989.
Scratch said that the object that you're looking at right there is not an object. It's a shadow of an object.
Yes, the shadow of the object that's being cast onto the surface of Phobos.
1 second. Let me look this up.
It has to be megalithic in size for it to cast such a huge shadow like that.
Yes, absolutely.
Royce and Grange says it was in 1973.
Let's see here. Yeah, 75. Hang on. Phobos 2 does say 1989, but I was sure that was mid 70s. Maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, 88, 89. He's right.
Yeah, so actually Phobos 2, and it was a shadow on the Martian surface. The final 3 frames before contact was mysteriously lost. So they had this image, the shadow getting bigger and bigger on the surface of Mars, and then the feed gets cut.
Almost makes you think that we saw it with our satellite systems and we just didn't want to broadcast it.
And it's something that it didn't want us fooling around on Phobos for some reason.
Yeah, absolutely.
Scratch says, I'm more interested in the monolith on Phobos.
Yeah. I'd like to know if there's monoliths on the moon. If there are, we need to go visit them.
Well, on the moon thing, and I was thinking about this earlier today, it's weird how we've been to the moon a couple of times. We sent countless probes to the moon. We know a lot about the moon at this point. In fact, we sent a nuclear weapon 10 years ago to the backside to nuke something, looking for water. Sure.
Yeah. Hey, Tommy, do you want to feature Tim, do you want to feature Tommy on the camera?
Oh, sure. Sorry, Tommy.
It's okay. But that being said, isn't it interesting how we've learned so much about the moon, yet we've still got countries like China send a rover there on the backside of the moon. We've got, I think India has got a probe. Japan has a probe. Why would they all have probes? I think and listen, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, folks. That's not my bag at all. But I did work for the government and I know how the government works on certain things. And I think it's very interesting how all these other countries would spend all that money to send probes to the moon after we pretty much already got the moon figured out and mapped out.
Yeah.
Isn't that strange?
Yeah.
I think we nuked something of significance back there and everybody else is trying to figure out what we hit.
Yeah, potentially. And don't forget, China just had a probe, just went there, did a touchdown. It got soil sample going 6 feet underground, grabbed it, and freaking came right back to Earth. So they wanted to get in there and get out of there really freaking fast for a reason.
Yeah, there's something going on there, and I don't think it's for scientific purposes. I think there's more going on there. I really do.
Oh,
yeah, I've actually heard rumors that there are alien species on the backside of the moon, and that's one of the reasons why they launched that nuke. Now, whether that got rid of them or not, it's hard to say that conventional weapons from Earth would even have an impact on something that is able to do interstellar travel and make a base on the moon and mine it.
You don't use a nuclear weapon. I mean, I'm not a scientist. I'm not a doctor. I'm none of that stuff. But my opinion, such that it is, you don't use a nuclear weapon, something that's actually able to annihilate the water molecule at the molecular level to search for water. That doesn't make any sense to me. And then even if you did, let's say you used a nuke and you found water, well, congratulations, genius. You just irradiated, made it completely unusable for 3,000 to 5,000 years.
Yeah.
So again, I'm not going for it, folks.
Yeah.
Right.
Because one thing on all those nukes that they put off, they're still detectable. The radiation is still surrounding our planet up in the Van Allen belt. So
Sure.
yeah, we're still paying for all those nuclear tests that we did so many years ago.
Oops, sorry. Yeah, I would say that there is some definite questions surrounding Phobos. And when they found that monolith, I remember there was one major ufologist that said, where did they get a look at the monolith on Phobos? Or wait a minute, that was Neil Armstrong that said that.
Yeah.
And where did they get a look at the monolith on Phobos? Which indicates that obviously some type of intelligent species or race built that and put that there. Kind of like the movie 2001 Space Odyssey. I mean, what was the monolith all about?
They have an agenda. We just have no idea what it is.
Right. We don't know what it is and what it's for and what it means. And maybe those fake monoliths that were put around the United States and other countries recently were representations of the real one on Phobos.
Maybe it could have been crackpots too, though.
Yeah, that's why I said fake. Anyways, okay, our next subject this evening we're going to go into. Thank you, Thomas, for your presentation. Our next subject tonight is by Tommy Highway in regards to what we know currently about ancient aliens and UFOs in ancient cave paintings and carvings. Okay, Tommy, take it away.
Well, folks, it's very interesting, isn't it? We keep looking to modern technology to get better and better photos of the things that are going on in our skies, the skies above us, phenomenon, things like that. Well, isn't it interesting how this has already happened, and it actually happened thousands of years ago. We're talking about cave paintings, we're talking about sculptures, things of that nature that have already been out there, that have been out there for thousands of years, yet mainstream media seems to want to ignore a lot of this. Let me give you a few examples here, folks. Let me pull up my screen, and Tim, I'm going to go ahead and be sharing, my brother.
Oh, okay. As soon as it comes up, I'll enable it.
Okay, should be good.
But yeah, okay, now it's there.
Okay, let's go ahead.
No, you clicked on the wrong screen.
Huh? I'm sharing.
Look at the screen. There's nothing there. Okay, re-enable and then click on the one that has your image in it.
Yeah, that one.
We're seeing the.
Oh, okay, we were seeing something else.
Yeah, we're just seeing the Streamlabs screen.
Yeah, we're not.
Yeah, hang on. Here we go.
There we go.
Seeing that? Okay, great. Let's just take a few examples here, folks, of what we're talking about. And these are just, again, a few examples. Now, you have to understand that the folks that created this art, these paintings, these sculptures, things of that nature, they had absolutely no concept of flight whatsoever other than what they're seeing the birds do, okay? Now, take a look at some of these photos. I mean, look at this. Look at this. This looks like something coming down. There's two beings coming out of it. Let's go ahead and go to here's a photo of the time of Christ, of Christ's crucifixion. What are these jellyfish things looking in the sky? What are those things doing? Right?
Click on it, Tommy. Yeah. Maybe they'll make it bigger. There you go.
Pull it up here. Okay, there's 12 ancient paintings. Okay, let's take a look at, we all know this photo. Now tell me that's not a person inside of some kind of a spacecraft. Again, from a people that had no concept of flight. Let's see what else we got here. That's looks like the Pope was Satan, probably not a big deal. Let me go ahead and get out of this one. Let me go back to where I was. Okay, take a look at this. This is an ancient Egyptian photograph. Now look at that. Look at the eyes. Look at the shape of the skull. It does have ears, nose, and mouth, but that's pretty weird. Now, we all know that back in the day, women used to tie their heads to make them somewhat elongated for whatever reason. That was stylish back then, but this is a bit of an extreme example, I would say. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at this. Check this one out. This one's actually appears, I believe it's in Spain, outside of one of their buildings outside. It's an ancient sculpture. Tell me that's not a guy in an astronaut suit. There's no question it is. Now let's go ahead and continue. What else we got here? Okay, here's another great example. Now look at that. Somebody way back in the day in South America carved this out. This is back before we knew anything about deep sea diving. This is back before we knew anything about space, astronauts, or anything like that. Tell me that doesn't look like a guy in some kind of a spacesuit. I mean, of course. Let's continue here. What else we got here? I had another one here. Where'd it go? Okay. Thousands of years ago, artists painted otherworldly beings on canyon rock walls. One of the thousands of Native American rock art panels in the Southwest, this is in the United States of America, folks, none are older than the Barrier Canyon pictograph found throughout the Colorado Plateau, where I happen to live. Concentrated along rivers, especially in the confluence of the Green and Colorado rivers. Some may have been painted 9,000 years ago. Many are at least 5,000 years old, ranging from tiny 5-inch animal figures to stunning 8-foot tall human shapes with no arms or legs and with alien-like bug eyes. Okay, let's see if it has any examples here. Okay, here's one. Check this out. Pull this down. Okay, figures shown on the Holy Ghost group, part of what is known as the Great Gallery, a collection of more than 80 figures painted on an expanse of 300 feet located in Horseshoe Canyon in the western annex of the Canyonlands National Park in Wayne County, Utah. The central figure, named the Holy Ghost, is over 7 feet tall, and its head is painted in 3/4 view, shown here being photographed by Craig Law. So that's pretty interesting. You've got but that could be anything. That's I get that, okay? But then you go a little bit further, and let's go back into where did I want to go? I saw one here I wanted to see. Okay, well, we've got this one. We've already kind of taken a look at it. Let's go ahead and go a little further. This one, millions of people have believed extraterrestrials visit Earth in spacecraft in ancient times and influenced human affairs. They have also believed records of these visitations are preserved and seen as UFOs in ancient art. Is it true? Does ancient art preserve the proof of ancient contact with alien spacecraft, or is this something else being shown? Okay, well, let's look at it like this. People back in the ancient times, when they were actually doing cave paintings and sculptures and things like that, what were they showing us? What were they creating? Well, what they were creating was whatever they saw, okay? This is a thing that they were, that's all they had. Again, these people had no concept of flight or anything like that. They could only recreate what they've seen. Here's another great example. Let's take a look at this one. Ancient aliens. Thousands of years ago, ancient people around the globe created a number of pentagraphs, blah, 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 blah. Let me find the photo here. Now look at that. Look at these photos. Now I'm probably going to butcher this, but Wajindia something cave paintings are one of our favorite cave paintings discovered to date. There are a number of interesting details about the cave art found in Kimberley, Australia in 1938, so a while back. First of all, the age of the cave paintings has become a subject of debate among numerous researchers. Some even suggest that the mystery art called Wadinja, I think, could be well over 100,000 years old. Yes, you read that right. But take a look at that photo. Okay, where have you seen this before? And it's not just one photo. It's not just one head. All right, anybody could maybe, do something like that. This is depicting a group of aliens, if you ask me. Look at that. Tell me that doesn't look like a gray to you. It does. And here's some more. Let's see. We've got another one. They're standing there. A group of people standing there. Could be aliens. Don't know. Here's another one.
Years old.
Yeah. Here's another one. It's very interesting. It looks like, again, something non-human going on there. What else we got here? Come on. Show me to me. Let me refresh my page, folks. I'm sorry. Look at this. Here's another example. Now, what does that look like to you, folks? Think about that. This ancient site located in modern-day Armenia is fascinating for a number of reasons. First of all, many researchers claim that the site itself predates both Stonehenge in England and the pyramids of Giza. Think about that. Something older than the pyramids of Giza, all right? And we're seeing these images depicted. Again, folks, what do these look like to you? I mean,
yeah, they look like alien graves, but what I'm going to say is a lot of these images are anywhere from 2,800 to 10,000 years old.
right.
12,500 years old, Tim, if not older. I mean, right now they're still trying to claim that the pyramids were built what is it, 2000 BC, 3000 BC, 5,000 years ago,
Right.
when evidence and everything is pointed to them being 30, maybe 60,000 years old. So it really just comes down to, we've got an idea, but in some areas we don't have a clue.
Now, this particular image right here is something that's depicted in Africa. All right. This is on a cave wall somewhere there. Now, take a look at that.
That's amazing.
I mean, look at, okay, we talked about cattle mutilations and abductions a couple shows ago. Well, what does that look like to you, folks? And again, this is from a people that had no concept of science fiction, no concept of flight other than watching the birds. I mean, man couldn't fly back then, obviously.
Yeah.
But yet they created this piece of art. Now, why would they have done that?
Yeah.
So
Scratch said he'd never seen that one before, Tommy.
yeah, that's good. Yeah, and there's a bunch. You know, I hadn't seen this one until I started doing my research. You know, there's a little bit larger version of it. But yeah, I mean, just amazing that this has gone on. It's gone on for thousands of years. And I'll tell you what we've done here. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing now. What we've done here, folks, is we've taken evidence of the past that we have. We have it in abundance, actually. All right. But since it was a primitive people that created it, we'll take everything else that they did as face value. We'll take all the other cave paintings depicting other things, hunting and all the things and the way that they live their lives. That's fine. But when it comes to the UFO section here, the UFO portion of cave paintings and sculptures or whatever, that's when the skeptics really hit the fan, right? Oh, that's not what that is. Oh, that's not what that is. Well, wait a second. You just said all the rest of this stuff was real, and now we've got a depiction of something that looks like an alien gray, yet that's not real to you. And you see experts do this all the time. It's mind-boggling. Yeah. It's obviously right there, folks. We've been looking at it. It's been there for, like Thomas said, thousands of years right there. And now we have it preserved forever. Yet, for some reason, we want to go ahead and deny it. Thomas, what are your thoughts?
The evidence is clear. I mean, there are thousands, tens of thousands of pictures that are out there everywhere around the world that goes and shows just how many cave paintings there are. And there's not all of them, but there's a lot of them from many different cultures at many different points in time, all drawing similar things. So if we look for patterns, if we look for things that repeat, if we look for something that is a consistency, it's there. So I'm going to say it's as real as them trying to draw a picture of a zebra or a giraffe or a water buffalo.
They drew what they saw.
Yeah.
Right.
Hey, Tim, don't you have a video that you've put together showing a whole bunch of different things?
Yeah, I can show these clips real quick so you can take a look at them.
Yeah.
Yes, Scratch, I can get the links for this stuff in the description for this video. Yes, so we will try and do that.
Yeah.
Okay. Here, let me bring it up. I got it queued, Tommy, so we can go.
Thank you. Sorry. Thank you.
You're more than welcome. Okay, there's no sound to this. It's just a bunch of clips that I strung together so people can look. This image was supposedly located inside this cave. What does that look like?
It looks like an exchange between a human and an alien to me. It really does.
There is a cabochon with what supposedly looks like 3 ships flying out of a portal.
Capsules.
Alien looking up at a ship. I don't know exactly where this one came from, but this is, I think this came from India. Oh, no, it's Aztec, sorry, because of the center wheel. Then here, oops, let me go back a second. Right here, we got China, Aztecan, Japan, and the Mayas, and they all kind of look the same.
Yeah.
They look like astronauts.
That's a guy in a spacesuit, or if it's not, then what is that?
Right.
I mean, he's got China. The guy's got a jump pack and everything, hanging down in front, and again, there's a pattern there. We're seeing guys wearing helmets and wearing suits.
There's one right there.
Oh, there we go.
There's one right there.
Yep.
Now here's a guy wearing a suit on a cabochon, supposedly talking to an alien with a craft over his head.
Mm-hmm.
Those I don't know.
Almost like
Baby aliens.
Baby Yodas.
There's another cabochon. It looks like an alien giving something to a human, and there's a disc above it with a bunch of writing. Now, whether that's alien writing, we don't know.
Now, if you've noticed, though, there is sort of a common theme on a lot of these. That's the interaction between an alien and a human passing something back and forth.
There's one. Yeah.
Right.
The Dogon from Japan.
I mean, look at that. That's not a human. That's just not a human.
No. Not even close.
No.
And anyone who says it's not needs their head examined.
Yeah.
Literally. They say we need our head examined, but no.
Right.
This is like people who are trying to still deny that the world is round.
Right. Look at that one. Look at that guy in a suit, a spacesuit, a space helmet.
Yeah.
Okay, this was supposed to be a representation of the Anunnaki.
Which one? This one?
Yes.
That's from South Mexico. I mean, like
right,
Mexico or South America. That's not what we see coming in.
Yes, but the headline for this picture said Anunnaki.
Oh, well, could be. If the Anunnaki was down in Mexico, maybe they went on vacation too.
Here you go.
Yeah, look at him. What's he doing?
Yeah.
I mean, look at the shape of the eyes. I mean,
yeah. Oh, here's the big eyes. Oh, it's ET.
Almond-shaped eyes.
Yeah. Elliot. Yeah, there's the ones that look like planes. George Tsoukalos has those, or Giorgio Tsoukalos.
I saw somebody recreate one of those that was found in a cave somewhere.
Yeah.
A jet plane, and actually made a model of it, and it actually flew.
Yeah.
So again, we're talking thousands and thousands, possibly tens of thousands of years before the concept of flight was even thought of.
I think a lot of these that we're seeing are from South America or South and Central America.
A lot of them come from Mesoamerica. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This one has always bothered me. It looks like an alien skull with some type of drawing on top, like a story being told.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But these are the eyes, the big wraparound almond eyes and the small mouth. But there is a story of long-nosed graves, and this looks like a long nose.
Yeah. Imagine. Too bad they just didn't put a star over his forehead, Tim.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. There's the supposed drawing in the Egyptian pyramid.
Is that the Assyrian?
Helicopters. Can we get back to that one?
Yeah, hold on.
There's helicopters, there's boats, there's ships, there's all different kinds of stuff in there.
Mm-hmm. A lot going on there.
Yeah, there's a plane, a boat.
Skimmer like in Star Wars.
Yeah.
Right there.
Oh, that almost just looks like something like from PT-109.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Then you've got a helicopter.
But there's things going on there that these people should have no concept of. And it's clearly right there. There it is.
Yep. There's your astronaut.
Yep.
Check that out.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome.
Holding an alien gray in her arms, and this came from Egypt.
You ever seen a baby depicted that looked like that?
Yeah. Or is that her baby? Or is that his, you know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. Tom, you're right on that one. Holding it like a baby too.
Yeah. Look at that. Another spacesuit. More grays. I mean, these don't look like anything that ever lived on this planet. I mean, look at that. Look at that. Look at that one. That guy's in a spacesuit, straight up. Look at that. Check that out. Beams from a UFO.
I'll go back to that.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great one right there. Go back.
Yeah. Hey, Tim, you did a really great job collecting this information.
Oh, yes, you did. Look at that.
Thank
Look
you.
at that. I mean, what else could that be from the mind of an ancient person?
No, and down below you see the Ankh. Do you see it?
Yep, you sure do.
Yeah. Yeah, scratch the art from all over the world. David Leclerc, yeah, they're all.
Okay, here's one from 900 BC. It's from Assyria.
Mhm.
Yeah. And that would be the Anunnaki in that one.
Yep.
Right.
That probably is too.
Check
Yeah.
that out.
Look at that.
Cave paintings from the Sahara Desert. Now, those look like spacesuits.
Yeah.
Yep.
Remember, the history of the Anunnaki goes back some 200,000 years here on Earth.
Okay, this was recently found, from what I understand, and these are supposedly grays, and they're only like 3.5 feet tall. So, really interesting images, and you could kind of pick out the eyes. There's one right there and one right there, but
Probably a lot better painting 10,000 years ago.
Yeah. The one way to tell if it's a gray is if the body proportions are different, because they know that they are different on grays. They've got like short legs, really long arms, long torsos.
Supposedly their bicep bone and their forearm bone is like reversed.
well, here's a ship with rays going out.
That's the same one that looks exactly like that one that's in that teardrop shaped deal. Looks just like that.
Now, this middle one is supposed to be the alien. The other two are like elders in tribal headdresses, but this is supposed to be the alien in the middle.
Yeah, it reminds me of a mantis, honestly.
Yeah.
It's got that long, wide, thin head, eyes near the top. It's got the really long arms and stuff.
Here's the a ship of some kind with beings on the inside of it.
There, I love this one. I love this one. This is my favorite one of all the cave drawings that we've seen. And look at that. What is that? I mean, again, we have to try to put ourselves in the mind of someone that's very primitive, but they came up with that. I mean, it looks to me like that's a ship and maybe a bunch of other ships or something coming down from it or whatever. But I mean, again, this is not something that was found naturally in their environment.
Right. Now, I like that. This one here is kind of strange. Check this out.
Yeah.
Handprints, faces that definitely resemble the alien grays.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to say they're just spirits, because they're not.
No. Why do they all look alike?
This represents the one that Tommy was talking about where he showed it upside down. This is a replica. Actual, I can't talk. It's the actual site where they show multiple large-eyed beings. And you don't see no nose, you don't see no mouth, so that's indicative of the alien gray.
They were actually just depicting their strongest qualities, what they were doing, and that's the eyes.
Check that out. There's a ship, some type of horn-type vehicle, and a guy in a suit with a face mask opening.
Yep.
That's an ancient cave painting.
Yeah. Freaking Ultraman.
Look at that.
This one always intrigued me. That does not look human.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
But it has two arms, one eye or mouth. This has got to be alien in nature. This one here, I don't know.
That could be their depiction of Satan or something.
Yeah, the day the earth stood still. Yeah.
Okay, this one's interesting because it shows an odd being with a tail, 2 or 3 ships in flight over animals that are grazing.
Something's taken off.
Yeah.
Right, because there's a disc here, There's a disc here. Yeah, they're all over the place in that picture. And this is the last picture. Tommy, what does that look like to you?
That looks like a gray alien.
Or maybe a brown or an orange alien,
Yeah,
but
it
it has big eyes.
It's not something that you would typically find. In human.
But look at the body proportions.
Yep.
The body's real long, the arms are real long, the legs
are real short.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, look at Da Vinci. What is it? The Mona Lisa. There's back then, which of course is a lot later in time than this. I mean, there's someone standing there looking behind Mona Lisa up at something in the sky, plain as day. A guy walking his dog. I mean, it's there. You know, these things have been in our history since probably we've been recording history, and I'm talking about recorded history in terms of cave paintings, in sculptures, things of that way, all the way up to the Renaissance and beyond. I mean, these things are depicted in human art. So if they're in there, why are they there?
Because they had to record their sightings somehow, and they recorded it in the media of the age.
Yeah.
So if they had to use a charcoal on a cave wall, then they used charcoal. If they had to use paint in the Renaissance period, and they're able to paint them in the background of a painting where they were not seen right out in the open because they were still ridiculed for it back then they painted that.
Probably more so, because then you're looking at heresy charges and things of that nature against religious doctrine. And that's why Da Vinci slipped them in places. You know, he put them in very inconspicuously. Like, again, the Mona Lisa is a great example, where the flying saucer or the whatever the ship is above is put in very inconspicuously, but it's there. Okay, it's there. And like to Tim's point, that's how they recorded their history. They drew and they painted and they sculpted what they saw. I mean, why would they do anything else?
Right, exactly. So that's the clip I have for us tonight. Hold on a second here. Let's bring Saul back to main screen. There we go. And Thomas, do you have any comments about ancient aliens that you would like to comment on before we end our segment on ancient aliens?
Well, it's a topic we all like to talk about. It's something we get to hear about once a week, and in a great show that's been going on about this subject in itself. All the different stuff that Tommy's brought up and you've put together is just amazing material, stuff we don't get to see every day. And it's irrefutable evidence in a lot of ways, unless it's been made more recently. But a lot of the stuff that we have that's out there, it's in the historical record. We can't go back and change it. We can try and deny it and think of something that it's not, versus being someone who's willing to accept and understand and know everything that we thought that happened in the past. Maybe it didn't. Maybe things are different. But a lot of it comes out of the Mockingbird effect that we've had from the media, from the government, from everybody, about denying the reality of what we've known about on this planet, what it's showing for the last maybe 20, 30,000 in years before. So, we've had some amnesia lately, but we're coming out of it, and I'm looking forward to it. And if it's going to be any much as the interactions of what they had way back then, I'm ready for that now. What about you guys?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm ready for the information breakthrough. Yes, I am, because if we get the information breakthrough, I feel it will change the way that we live, the way that we look at life in general. Tommy, do you want to cover that article on the quarterbacks?
Yeah, let me pull that up. Folks, we've got some very interesting situation that just happened here. Let me go ahead and pull it up. Okay, where'd it go?
Well, while Tommy is doing that, I'm just going to say out loud that there were 2 NFL quarterbacks in the last few months that have had major UFO sightings. One was Aaron Rodgers, the Green Bay Packers, and the other one was a guy named Baker that just saw one with his wife. And Tommy's going to talk about them.
Tim, I'm actually having a hard time finding that link that you sent. I see a bunch of links, but I don't see one for that.
Yeah, it's there. It's
Well, okay, if you could go ahead and pull it up, I'll just talk about it real quick.
hold on. Let me see if I can find it. Okay.
I don't see it in my list.
I'll try and find it. Hold on.
Okay.
I know I put it in your list, but I'll find it.
But the point being, folks, is now we've got mainstream people. We're talking about NFL quarterbacks, people that are, let's just say, famous. They're actually coming out and they're becoming more unafraid to talk about the things that they've seen. I mean, again, this 5 years ago, this was so much more of a taboo subject than it is right now. I mean, in fact, probably 3-4 years ago. I think what kind of broke the ice for a lot of people was the Tic Tac video released by the military, which I know we got a real grainy version of it. But I think, to me, it seems like that seems to be the catalyst or the point in time where things started to become a little bit more relaxed and less taboo about this subject. And the fact that these NFL quarterbacks can come out with, he and his wife talk about, hey, we saw something drop out of the sky. We witnessed this and that kind of thing. That just shows you that, people of all walks of life, especially famous people, are becoming less and less afraid to talk about this subject, which is a good thing. And especially pilots and airline pilots and all that. I mean, those are the people that actually see these things all the time. And it's very nice and very refreshing, actually, that they're able to actually come out and talk about this. And okay, do you have that now?
Yeah, look in the private chat, Tommy. Yeah, I've got both links in there.
Okay, let's go to, let me pull this, let me share my screen. Oh, geez.
As soon as you bring it up, I will highlight it.
Okay, I'm up. And where'd it go? Well, I just pulled it up. Where did it go? Okay, here we go. All right. Browns quarterback Baker Mayfield, his wife report UFO sighting in Texas. Cleveland Browns quarterback Baker Mayfield delighted fans and alien enthusiasts alike Wednesday night after tweeting about a possible close encounter he and his wife experienced. Almost 100% M and I just saw a UFO drop straight out of the sky on our way home from dinner. Mayfield wrote, detailing a very bright ball of light descending from the sky toward Lake Travis. Okay. Meanwhile, Emily Mayfield posted a pair of tweets regarding the encounter, but only the second one in the set remains available on social media platform. And here's her actual tweet. I won't lie, I'm typically not someone who buys into UFO talk, but all I know is I saw something tonight I've never seen, and I'm a little thrown off. Well, yeah, it'll do that to you. When you actually witness something like this, trust me, it changes everything for you. Anyway, according to TMJ4's, Baker Mayfield is not only the first NFL player to report a UFO sighting. Green Bay Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers reportedly claimed experienced a close encounter involving an orange object in the sky that was eventually chased by fighter jets, the TV station reported in September 2020. So that just happened. So Aaron Rodgers, everybody knows who that is if you follow football at all. He's pretty famous. I mean, a Green Bay quarterback. This guy is coming out and talking about his sighting. Okay, so
the other link talks about Aaron.
Yeah, I'm going to go there just a moment. Oh, geez. Okay, and okay, here we go. Aaron Rodgers. Everybody seeing this? Okay. Oops. Aaron Rodgers shares wild tale of UFO sighting. Aaron Rodgers isn't your typical NFL quarterback, not in the ways that he plays, not in the things that he says, not in the off-field pursuits he enjoys. We were reminded of this on Wednesday while listening to Rodgers' 2-hour interview with Pete Holmes on the comedian's popular You Made It Weird podcast. Holmes and Rodgers had barely gotten the pleasantries out of the way when the Packers star launched into an epic tale of a UFO sighting from his past. Now, see, I've experienced this before. And those of you that have read Strange Tales, my book Strange Tales from the Highway, know that I experienced something with a person that I only met twice, a woman that was dating a friend of mine. Almost 10 years later, I'm walking through a shopping mall, and this woman approaches me from the food court, and I didn't recognize her until she got right up on me because, again, I'd only met her twice. But I'm telling you, she was standing there with her husband and their infant child. She walked up to me, and she didn't even so much as say hello before she talked about the experience that we shared that night. Okay, That's how long she'd been actually holding this deep within her. She never talked about it. Blew her husband away. I mean, you should have seen his face. It was crazy. But the backstory, it was February 2005, and Rogers, then a top prospect 2 months away from being drafted by the Packers, had traveled to New York to tape a segment for the defunct ESPN program Cold Pizza. Remember that? I never heard of it. After the taping, Rogers hoofed it to Jersey for an overnight stay at the childhood home of his former Cal teammate, Steve Levy. After a hearty Italian dinner, Rogers and company were startled by the sound of a siren in the distance. They went outside to look in the sky. It was a large orange left to right moving object, Rogers explained to Holmes. Because of the overcast nature of the night and the snow, you couldn't make it out. It was behind us, behind the clouds that we were seeing. It was definitely large, moving from left to right, and it was me, Steve, and his brother-in-law that saw it. So another example of multiple people witnessing something. And it goes out of sight as we look at each other and go, what the F was that? Okay. At this point, we just wanted to make it clear, although Rogers was sharing his story on a comedian's podcast, the quarterback was deadly serious. Later, Rogers and company heard the sound of a fighter jet over the home. Yeah, because that's what happens. I've been there. When something strange, when a UFO hangs around long enough, the military is going to pick it up on their radar or whatever kind of scanning system that they have, and they're going to send fighters. And I've seen this happen personally. I know that this happens, folks. Let me go ahead and stop sharing. So I'll tell you what we've got here is we've got, credible people. I mean, depending on how you look at it, credible people that have no reason to come out and to bring potential ridicule upon themselves, I suppose you could say. Like, these famous quarterbacks, I mean, they're already famous. They're already making millions. They're already getting endorsement deals and all that. Why would they come out and even talk about such a subject unless they actually experienced it? Anybody have any thoughts?
No, I just think it's interesting that they're actually coming out and saying it now, because because it's more acceptable to speak of UFOs. Now we got public figures coming out and saying things, like, was it Matthew McConaughey that had that really good UFO sighting and he recorded it and put it up on YouTube? Mm-hmm. So what I'm going to say is now UFOs are becoming respectable. They're kind of trending.
We can come out of the shadows and talk about the obvious. We just went through, our ancestors have been seeing these things for thousands of years. We just went through that whole segment. We know that this is true because we know that these people didn't have much of an imagination back then. They were probably too worried about starving to death, to be perfectly honest. Yet they took the time, and it was time and effort to be able to record these things on the walls of a cave or in a painting or in a sculpture, things like that. Now, they wouldn't have done that unless they had a real damn good reason to do it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Just Zopa, that's a great comment.
Yeah. Just one little thing on that, Tommy. It just kind of makes sense. When we were living in caves in the recent past, we were living in there because it wasn't safe to live on the surface or to come out. So in the brief interactions of what those alive at that time were going and experiencing, it looks like, one of the things that was waiting for them to come out of the caves were the UFOs.
Yeah. Yeah, and they recorded what they saw, and I don't think there's any question about that. Again, you didn't have a whole lot of imagination in the cave painting days. Again, they were concerned about starving, being killed by something else, being food for something else, things of that nature. So if you really sat down back in those days and you put forth all the effort to actually create a work of art like that, you did it for a reason.
Yeah. Maybe a warning. Maybe a warning.
Yeah, a warning. It could be that maybe they're just trying to record history. Maybe they were just trying to do that. Maybe that's always been a human desire or something. Who knows?
And maybe there are more of an advanced civilization than we give to them, because it could have happened. There was a global catastrophe where everything out there else was all destroyed and everything's all gone. So they're back to taking what they can and drawing on the walls of caves because there's nothing else left.
Right. According to where they studied the rock strata. According to studies on rock strata, the Earth has been destroyed completely over 7 times. So if that's the case, we may have had several civilizations that were extremely advanced, and we just didn't get past a certain age.
I've never seen a good scientific reason that we have uranium in the ground. I've never seen that.
Yeah.
Right. We don't know how it got there. Yeah.
Reflecting to the chat, Julie Wenchel says, I want to see how long it takes for famous people to start to see UFOs. So, now we have some football players. When are the stars and everybody else? But didn't Miley Cyrus come clear about something last year that took place, that after she went and picked up some weed,
she said that she had no, she didn't say a UFO. She said that she met an alien. Now, whether you subscribe to that belief or not, maybe she did, maybe she didn't. I don't know. But she said she had an encounter with an alien.
Yeah.
So, Miley Cyrus. So, yeah, so that's a little interesting.
I'm gonna take that with a grain of salt.
Yeah, but it's the start of is what Julie was talking about. She wants to see how long it takes for famous people to start to see UFOs. So let's start seeing newscasters. Let's start seeing, actors, actresses, different people who are all part of the media, all part of, the entertainment that we watch. Let's hear them start coming forward.
I can say one thing, Julie, in regards to, yes, Miley talked with Greer. It's because she had enough subscribers to do that.
Yeah.
if you're too small, like our channel, 32,000 plus, we can't talk to Greer. So anyways, I saw the interview with Greer with Miley, but that doesn't necessarily mean that she was telling the truth.
Or even coherent.
Hey, but Julie, I can't tell you, Julie, that the next segment coming up is going to be on Simeon. I think you'll enjoy it. You may have already seen it.
That's right. We have a video clip on UFO crash debris that we all need to watch. I got to bring it up, so you guys keep talking a little while, and I will bring it up, okay?
Awesome. Thank you, Tim. Appreciate you getting that together. Hopefully I didn't rush people along too much, Tommy or anybody.
I'll bring you up, Thomas.
Uh-oh.
You're on the camera on the spot.
So what are they saying out in the chat room? Giggles, UFO Man, true from Julie. Scratch. There's a lass in the comments named Cian. She's from the Daily Star. Interesting. Nennine one. Kurt Russell saw one while taking his son to Vegas in a Piper plane. Were we talking about that one earlier? I don't think so. So
no. There's a lot of people that are popular that are actually finding things. Okay, I got the video.
Oh, and Scratch, yes. Every 12,000 years we get a bad time, and it's been 12,000 years since we've had a bad time. So
I don't want to talk about that, to be honest with you. I don't want my life to end. Okay.
It is what it is, my dad would say.
Okay, share screen. Got to get audio here. Okay, this is a gentleman that we interviewed about 3 weeks ago in regards to remote viewing, but he has contacts within the UFO community that we don't have, and we thought we'd bring up this video. Okay, here we go.
Awesome.
Well, hey there, how you doing? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thanks for joining me here today. I wanted to do this short little video for you about some of the questions that have come up with the recent headlines about the Pentagon possibly having debris from UFOs, Bigelow Aerospace, and so forth. I've done some videos about this in the past, and I thought I would just kind of bring it up to date based on what I know about this subject, just to clear things up. So a lot of the discussion in the past couple of weeks has had to do with this Anthony Bragalia FOIA request to the Pentagon for information about debris from UFO, UAP vehicles, and the Pentagon responded saying a lot of this information is exempt from disclosure, but we refer you to these defense investigation research documents from ATIP, the DIRDs as they were called, and people have concluded, based on what I've been listening to, on YouTube and other places, that maybe this whole thing has been overblown, that there isn't any UFO debris and so forth, that the Pentagon doesn't actually have anything. So I think it's important to remember here that this is a very complex topic, and there is a difference between analyzing alleged debris from extraterrestrial vehicles. There's a difference between that sort of phenomena and actually intact ET technology that people have reported to me that they've seen, functioning pieces of extraterrestrial hardware that have been recovered either from crash sites or possibly ejected by these vehicles, or even from craft that would have been shot down. Now, these are very credible reports. I've heard this for many years now from very credible people, either people that were involved with this directly or very good accounts from people that knew people that were involved in crash recoveries. So the first aspect of this has to do with people that have been involved with crash recoveries. Now, recently we had Sergeant Clifford Stone pass on. He was someone that had been involved, I think, according to his accounts, with a number of crash retrievals. He said he had seen these over the course of his career in the Army, and that he had been involved with this. Now, I actually have had someone on this channel here who said they were offered the opportunity to be in these crash retrieval projects. This was Gary Sterling, who I had on this channel in relationship to his sighting of a very bright, brilliant object near a missile silo near Velva, North Dakota, where he was a missile security guard in the early 1970s. And we've had him on the show. We've interviewed him a couple of times. And he said in the latter part of the interview, separate from this sighting, which actually left him and his colleague in their, security alert team truck, left them with burns on the side of their body that was exposed to the object. Gary did say in the latter part of the interview with me that he had been offered the chance to be involved in UFO crash retrievals. Now, he said that his job description would have been not the person that actually is digging up the crashes and taking the pieces. He was told he would be posted on the outskirts of these sorts of projects to deflect people unintentionally visiting these sites. His job would have been to do camouflage of these sites to make it look like it was some ordinary operation going on there that the Air Force might be involved in, or some other group, and to kind of give it some sort of other appearance to prevent people from knowing what was going on there. Now, someone did write in on my YouTube channel here. They said maybe Gary was talking about broken arrow flights, experimental aircraft that might have crashed that they would just euphemistically call UFOs, or it could have been satellite retrieval, Soviet satellites, something like that. And they were just calling them UFOs. But I asked Gary about this directly, and he denied that. He said, no, he spoke to someone who had been involved in these crash retrievals in the Air Force at Minot, someone who had come back from these. Now, these were long missions that would last 6 months to a year, according to Gary. And they preferred people who didn't have families, so you could be out there almost continuously during the cleanup period. 6 months to a year is a long period of time. And it just seems that would be very long for something as small as a satellite. Even a black budget U.S. aircraft, you wouldn't imagine taking a year to recover the pieces of. So Gary said when he asked his superior officers about these missions, they didn't pull any punches about it. They said these were UFO crash retrievals. They didn't say they were black budget experimental aircraft, downed craft, perhaps with nuclear weapons or something like this. He said that they were UFOs, and this person who came back from one of these missions said they literally were craft from, beyond the Earth. That's what he said. So that's one type of witness testimony we have, that there are real crashes of real pieces of stuff. The debate recently has been about debris, stuff that's been analyzed under microscopes, very small pieces of things, these various cases we've heard about from Jacques Vallée and Gary Nolan from various locations where they look at the particular metals and so forth to try to see if there's something that maybe couldn't be produced on Earth. Therefore, they would have to be from somewhere else. But the evidence we have from people like Clifford Stone and Gary Sterling and others is that there really were crash retrievals. Now, I've spoken to someone who said that they had a buddy that served in the Marine Corps once in the kind of a special services within the Marines, and this person had been involved with crash recovery, but they didn't want to be known. They didn't want to be connected to it. Perhaps they had signed NDAs. This seemed to me to be a very reliable source of information. And the person who experienced it, who was the guard around this crashed craft, whose job it was to really guard it life or death from any interference, went into a very lengthy description of what the material is like, what it was like to be around it, even what it was like to briefly look inside it. So we do have testimony from people that say that they've been involved with crashes or were offered these sorts of jobs. So again, we're talking about intact craft or in many cases, retrieval of big pieces of material, not just microscopic pieces. Now, the other type of evidence that I've come across is literally people who've examined this material. And I'm not talking about small pieces. This particular witness who I've mentioned before, and I'll put the video up here, someone I met at a conference. I have had a chance to spend several days with them. They don't want to come forward yet. They didn't want to be interviewed on YouTube or anywhere else. But they told me they had been approached some group, to see if they could figure out how a large piece of UFO material from the hull, he actually, when he put his hands apart, he said it was about this wide. It would have been on the part of the hull because of the way it was curved. He said he could imagine the craft could have been 30, 40 apart, just based on the shape of this particular piece. And it had several characteristics that really make it seem like it's not from here. First of all, he said that the material appeared to have been made in 0G, that the way it was constructed isn't something that we can construct here on Earth in a gravity based environment. It would have to have been done somewhere in 0G, and it was a rather large piece. This wasn't something small that you would have, manufactured on the International Space Station. Secondly, he said the isotopic ratios were not the same as materials that you find in our part of the solar system or the galaxy. They were made of isotopes that were not even made the way we make isotopes here on Earth. He said these materials were made by doping these materials with larger or less, or taking away some of the electrons. So the amount of electrons in the atomic structure of these materials was different than you find on our planet. Yeah, this is something that you could make, but it would be extremely time consuming and expensive. And what would be the point of that? So it was something that, according to my understanding, starting in the 70s, scientists could make materials like that, but it's a very expensive, time consuming process to do. Now, he described this entire piece of material as being simultaneously made of these isotopic materials, but it also was the technology at the same time. So in contrast to the technology we have, like our computers and our phones and things like this, where there's a shell around the components, this material actually was a structure and a technology at the same time. And the third characteristic of it was, he said, it was made of a type of nanotechnology that we can't make yet on Earth. Now, this person is an engineer who is from Silicon Valley. And this person would have, the highest level of credibility if you were to talk to them. This is someone that is known within Silicon Valley. And he told me that this technology is not something you can make on Earth yet. The density of the structures and the circuits within the material were about 1,000 years ahead of our technology. And we're talking about how densely you can pack, you know, electronic components into a small space in nanometers. And we know that, you know, it's getting closer and closer, but he said this was 1,000 years even ahead of where we're at now. There isn't any way we can make it. So you've got these three characteristics: that the isotopic ratios are different, it's made in a 0G environment, and nobody can figure out how it works. Now, I will put up a picture based on what he described to me of what this material looked like under a microscope, an electron microscope. The way the topic came up, it wasn't someone you would associate with UFOs. I actually was at one of these kind of meet and greet dinner parties you have at these conferences several years ago. And we were just talking about crop circles, and I mentioned in this small group, you know, how I thought some of them were man-made, and someone said, no, they're made by UFOs. And it was this guy, this engineer I'm talking about, said, no, UFOs are real, I've handled a piece. And that's how we got talking about it. He suspected it might have been from the Roswell crash. He wasn't actually certain. But in any case, the way the material looked at a nanoscale, the way he described it to me, was wires going through this material of varying thickness. The wires would get thinner and then thicker. And at some point, they would kind of create this geometric shape and then go back parallel again. And then every so often in the material, you'd find these hexagonal shapes that the wires would kind of loop themselves around through and then keep going. And the way he said this actually worked, it was a type of propulsion system, for lack of a better word, that would directly interact with the quantum field around it to change the structure of space-time so that you wouldn't have the same gravitational forces around this particular craft. That was the best he could make sense of it, but he said he couldn't figure out how it worked, and the people that brought it to him couldn't figure out how it worked. Apparently, I'm told that every 10 years or so, the people, whoever they are, that have these intact materials, I'm not talking again about tiny little pieces, I mean actually pieces of something large enough to actually hold and look at, that they take it out of the basement and they shop it around to various experts in the field to see if they, you know, if the state of technology is advanced, science and technology, that we can understand how these things work. And that's really what the same message that Hal Puthoff told us at the 2018 conference in Las Vegas, SSE IRVA, where he said he had been responsible for creating the requests for these 38 papers that were, you know, the product of ATIP, to see what the state of knowledge was from the best experts on the planet, to see if we could even make some of these materials. And without telling, that was the whole point of the program, which people are forgetting. The 38 papers were not an attempt to prove the existence of UFOs. It was an attempt to hide the fact that the Department of Defense was interested through the ATIP program in finding out more about how these vehicles work. And the way you do that is by looking at each specific topic, being metallic glasses or metamaterials or effects of these exotic propulsion systems on biological systems, or the Drake equation, things like that. And to see if anyone out there knew what was going on with the way these craft could work. So there was a lot of subterfuge involved with this. The program wasn't classified, but because the program papers, the ATIP papers, were just presented in this ordinary way, like you might find in Science magazine, nobody suspected it was actually for UFO research, but in fact it was. So it does appear, based on my conversations, there is actually another person who was one of Steve Greer's disclosure witnesses who said that their dad worked at Area 51. And I remember him describing to me personally, just talking to him, that they would take all these different pieces from these retrieved craft and, you know, try to assemble them. And he said one time they got them all assembled. They were out there at Area 51, and they turned, you know, they turned the switch on, whatever, and it just blew up. They couldn't figure out how it worked either. So these craft and vehicles seem to be very far ahead of us technologically. And this is really what we're talking about here. It's talking about these metamaterials and the ones that Valet and Nolan have examined, whether they're truly extraterrestrial or not. It's an important discussion, and it's one we don't have the final answer to. But we shouldn't forget that there are also people with a lot of credibility who claim to have either been involved with crash retrievals or have actually handled intact pieces of these technology. I mean, we're talking more than a few millimeters wide here, something you could hold in your hand, who've attempted to find out how it works, have seen it, and seen it closely enough to be able to describe to me at least what it actually looks like. So this is more than a discussion about whether bismuth magnesium samples are actually extraterrestrial or not, whether they could be made on Earth. And that's a very important discussion. I just want to point out that this is one facet of this whole discussion here. Now, the way to deal with this, maybe you find this convincing, maybe you don't. And either way is okay, but we need to find out about this eventually. And it has to be done in a way that the public can participate in the discussion. So, I mean, it seems to me the appropriate thing would be for Congress to grant immunity to people who've been involved in these projects so they can come forward and not worry about any consequences to their, financial well-being or their health or anything else. So they can tell us what they've seen in congressional hearings, something like what the citizen hearing was supposed to be in 2013, but this would actually be for real. I think that's what would need to happen, because there are more people than I've even mentioned here, and they still don't want to come forward to tell us what they've seen. I'm convinced, just based on the small number of people I've run into in my, investigations, just going to conferences and so forth, that there are a lot more witnesses out there who've handled this material. It can't just be these few people I've met. If whoever actually owns this material, and it's important to remember that it isn't necessarily the federal government. The federal government can give it to various companies in the same way that
private industry.
The Air Force at Wright-Patterson allegedly gave the Roswell medals to Battelle Labs in Ohio to see if they could reproduce it and so forth. And apparently they came up with nitinol, a decade or so later, kind of a memory medal. I mean, I'm told that's how it actually happens, that the materials are given to other private companies, maybe they're public companies too, but it isn't in the hands of the federal government. So when people have FOIA requests, the government says we don't have anything, because they don't. They already gave it to someone else. That's how I think it's working. So anyway, this is a big discussion. It's a fascinating discussion. It's just important to remember there are lots of different types of witnesses out there, and we should be looking at all the evidence in order to make sense of this topic and find out, are these really pieces of extraterrestrial craft? It seems like an incredible story, but the caliber of the people I've interacted with tell me that it's true. Okay. So let me know your thoughts about it. Put it in the box below here. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Take care for now.
If I may, you're muted there, Tim.
What'd you think about that, Tommy?
Well, I'll tell you, very interesting discussion and all of that. We talked about Clifford Stone when you were offline a little while ago. I do not believe Clifford Stone, and let me tell you why. I'm an author, which means that I'm a professional storyteller, and my story never changes. Now, there is one story in my book that I toned it down, and I do say that in the precipice of the book. That being said, the story never changes. Now, Clifford Stone even made this outlandish claim that he actually had, after all these decades, a piece of, I guess, the Roswell crash hidden away, and he went to another channel with this. This was a little over a year ago. Still haven't heard anything. It was, I don't want to say what channel. It was a big one, UFO channel, but we still haven't heard anything about this. I think he's a fraud.
Yeah. Well, actually, Tim just showed it. Simeon Hain is in the audience.
Oh, great. Simeon, how you doing?
Yeah. Simeon Hine, by the way.
Hine,
anyways, thanks, Simeon, for your content. It was very enlightening. Thomas, any last comments about Simeon's video?
I could sit and listen to Simeon talk for hours on end. He never bores me. He always has a great way of conveying information. He's interviewed so many people and has so many contacts in different areas. It's great to hear it when he can go ahead and bring some additional light on the subject of the crash materials and different people who are experiencing it from different perspectives, because again, it comes to that repeatability, that where we keep on hearing the same thing coming from different areas, that helps lend to the credibility of all the different kind of stuff that we're dealing with. And again, still trying to search on Battelle, and I'll keep on ringing that Battelle bell, ding, 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 because we're going to find some interesting stuff about that, folks.
Growing up in Ohio, you heard all about the Roswell crash and other crashes because Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Fairborn, which is a suburb of Dayton, Ohio, what they do, their specialty there is to deconstruct or reverse engineer craft from other countries, let's say Russian MiGs and that sort of thing. So it makes all the sense in the world that that would have been sent there. And then growing up as a kid, man, you heard it all the time. UFOs, alien bodies, the whole 9 yards, they're right there in Fairborn.
Right. Plus, Wright-Patterson was supposedly the last spot that the Roswell crash debris went to, along with the alien bodies, so supposedly are stored in cryogenic suspension at Wright-Pat. And we supposedly have over 30 different races in cryo storage. Now, whether that can be verified or not, we can't do that. But that's what has come out of classified documents.
Yeah. Tim, you read my mind again. I was about to say Wright-Patterson, but you beat me to it and said exactly what I had queued up. So once again, you've done it.
Okay, well, we're thinking good minds think alike. Anyways, any last comments, guys? Tommy.
Folks, thanks for coming as always. We really appreciate it. Hope that we had a good show for you tonight. We tried to be informative, entertaining, and all that. Tim, as always, my brother, thank you for having me. Thomas, your contributions are fantastic as always, sir. Thanks again, everybody.
Absolutely. I definitely appreciate it. And just on my way out, I'll say Simeon just said in his interview with the secretary from Blue Book, he couldn't put most of it in his videos. So again, great material, great everything. It was a great show. I appreciate you. I appreciate everybody taking the time to hear all the different things I was able to bring forward today. Hopefully next week we'll have some more exciting information coming out and more on disclosure, more information. I think we may do a follow-up on Japan, because Japan has recently changed their tune. There was actually a lot of really cool information about that we left out in our last production on that. So I'm looking forward to, I guess, the end of the show, and next week's coming up.
Yeah, thank you, Thomas. I also want to say we're sorry for all the glitches, but for some reason or another, it seemed like my system or maybe Thomas's system was hacked or something happened. We had a bug or something, because it's never happened like that before. And we do apologize for that, but we're glad that you could stay along for the ride and enjoy the information we put out. And as always, I want to thank you for watching.